Welcome everyone to Overcoming Unhealthy Eating. I'm so excited that you're here. I have the infamous Amy Lescher with us today, and Amy is from the St. Louis, Missouri area. Amy has been a registered nurse for quite a number of years, but here's the best part about Amy. Amy has been a fitness trainer, a top fitness trainer for over 2 decades. And Amy has trained individuals in the Hollywood scene and the MLB scene. So welcome, Amy. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? And then we'll kind of move forward from there. We're just going to have a casual conversation today.
Yes, thanks so much, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully your viewers will like it as well. I'm really excited to be here. Yes, as you mentioned, I have kind of been, here and there and everywhere. I've been doing everything in fitness. I mean, from Jane Fonda to kettlebells to Peloton. I've done it all. I tried it all. I've tried it all. And I've been teaching it all since I can remember. I am a nurse by trade, of course. I did nursing for a while, even did some pharmaceutical sales, but fitness is where my passion and my whole life lies. I'm a mom, as you mentioned, of 2 lovely girls, and I obviously have a husband and 2 dogs, and they're French bulldogs. So I think people really like French bulldogs for some reason. And I had them before they became the #1 dog in the country. But yes, I'm here to talk to you today. You're going to ask me some questions and talk about fitness. I have had the pleasure of teaching to J-Lo, to Alex Rodriguez, and really having fun along the way and being able to share my wealth of knowledge and experience with people. And I'm happy to do that here.
Awesome. Well, I do have some questions for you because, as I mentioned to you, I have followed you for quite a long time and wanted to get to know you for many, many years now. So I'm so grateful that you're here and I can actually kind of pick your brain and help our viewers actually understand what you do and why you push so hard, because you do. And people really resonate and respond to how you come across and get them to actually produce better, to understand health, to understand wellness and why it's so important. So one of the things I want to start with, though, is the fitness side of things. I really do, because that is your forte, and it's where you really do shine. I really do see you shine. I see you glow. So what was it about fitness that really made you want to kick that into high gear and move in the direction that you have?
I grew up an athlete. So I had a brother 15 months older than me, and I am 48. I'm not ashamed to share my age. And my dad, God love him, was way ahead of his time by saying that whatever my brother could do, I could do just as well, if not better. So he was way ahead of the time as far as, really putting girls equal to boys. And it was in my own household. So anything my brother did, I did, right? We played on the same sports teams when we were younger until we were forced to go to girls league, boys league, etc. So I grew up really being pushed to be my best and finding my potential, and also to not let anyone or anything stand in my way. Being a female was not an obstacle for me ever in my life. And I know a lot of women struggle with that. It has never been a problem for me, thankfully, because really my dad was our coach, he did those things. So I would have to credit my dad, although my mom was a very independent woman as well, a working woman my whole life. She also is a nurse and was a nursing supervisor. So I learned, I kind of got the best from both worlds. But I went to college on a soccer scholarship. And when I got there my freshman year, I thought to myself, okay, reality's setting in. And what am I going to do after college to stay in shape? Because I realized I've been playing sports my whole life and I hadn't even thought about having to stay in shape. It just was part of my lifestyle. So I thought, all right, when I get out of college, how am I going to continue it to be part of my lifestyle? The easiest thing for me was to run. I started as a runner. I started as a marathon runner, as a matter of fact. And I did that because our coach on my college campus made us run a 5K. And I thought, well, soccer, you run 6 miles a game. So running was very easy for me. And so I continued that way. But my first summer home from college as a freshman, I went to a step aerobics studio in my neighborhood and took a couple classes and then thought, oh my gosh, I think I could be just as good as this instructor. I have a lot of energy. I know the moves I pick up. I grew up a dancer. I was minoring in dance. I was majoring in biology. So the body has always been a fascination to me. And I could choreograph and pick up the choreography. So I decided to go get my group fitness cert and become a step aerobics instructor. So that's kind of how it all started, and it just continued to snowball. And I taught step aerobics through college, at college to the team, other teams on the campus during my summers off, and then became a true marathon runner, was even a coach for the American Diabetes Association when they had a marathon team where people would raise money and then I would coach them through the process of running a marathon. So I run the big ones. You know, I qualified for Boston in Chicago and did Boston. I've run New York. I've done the Marine Corps. I've done the Disney. I've done kind of the fun ones. And then I decided, okay, let's not just do marathon running. Let's do more strength training. And that's probably when my younger daughter was born. And I decided to do my first figure competition when my daughter was 9 months old.
Oh, wow.
So I stepped on stage when she was 9 months old and won 4 out of the 5 categories I was in, and was astonished because I just was trying to do it to help me get back in shape. I'd always read Oxygen magazine. I wanted to do what the girls in the back of the magazine did. And then I did it, right? I went on to get my pro card and did that probably for about 3.5 years, and then decided I really don't think this eating is very healthy. So I decided to leave that industry. But of course, that was a piece of the fitness industry, right?
Sure.
And you know, ever since really, and when my daughter was young too, I also got certified in Pilates. My youngest, who's 13 now, certified in Pilates. So Pilates has always been in my heart and soul as well. So I've kind of done everything. And why I love that is because here I am at 48. I've had injuries. As a matter of fact, I just tore my hamstring tendon off my pelvis in February, but that was because my daughter stepped on my foot when we were sprinting, we were racing, and it was an accident. It happened, but I was able to rehab very quickly and with very little, you know, deficits, because I had been so in shape in so many different ways, not just in strength training, not just in Pilates, not just in running, but all of them combined into one. So I definitely think, you know, people need to know that one avenue is not the way to go, that, you know, first you need to find what you love and do that, and then layer on to that.
Pilates has really been a hot topic. It's really coming about because as we get older, we realize Pilates is probably where we really need to be for that strengthening and that constant ability to keep our balance. I know it's one of the things that I really notice as I've gotten older. I mean, I'm 51, so I'm, you know, worried about falling sometimes. So Pilates is something that I've really been looking at getting into more. And I noticed that you've kind of focused in that direction a little more lately. So do you believe that that is something as we 30 to 50 should really kind of focus on Pilates, or should we really focus on other directions and keep it all in one focus of just staying strength trained, but yet stay focused on our balance and so forth as we get older? What do you want people to focus on when you're training?
Yes, literally in my ideal world, Pilates and strength and mobility would be what everyone needs to be doing. And I say mobility, not flexibility, mobility, because there's a difference, right? Your mobility is where your strength lies within movement of your joints, right? It's not just being able to touch your toes, right? It's being able to really use the full range of motion of your joints and have them strong. What I love about Pilates is, I always talk to people about fitness, whether you think you're a total avid athlete or you think you're a beginner, it doesn't matter. There is a pyramid to fitness, and the bottom of the pyramid is stability. Everybody needs to find stability in all your joints, definitely in your core, which most people don't realize your core runs from your armpits to the middle of your thighs. That is considered your core. that entire piece, not just your abdominals. And that includes
It's
your
good to
glutes.
know, because there are people who do believe that way. So go ahead.
Right.
If you can kind of, explain a little more on that stability, I'm gonna let you go with that.
So stability before you add strength, meaning before you add a weight in your hand. If you cannot do a body weight squat properly and be stable in your squat, there's no way you should be adding weight to your squat. And I see people out there adding barbells of all things, and it's considered a pyramid, right? You have to meet the bottom rung, or think about a ladder, right? You can't get up the ladder without starting at the bottom. And if you do not do the bottom well, you will not do the next layer well. The next layer would be strength. And then finally, the tip of the pyramid would be explosive or plyometric movement. So, and running would be included in explosive movement, right? It's one-legged at a time, walking, your 2 feet are on the ground at all times, running 1 foot's on the ground at a time. So I think Pilates is really good. The 6 principles of Pilates are control, concentration, centering, breath, flow. These are all, so if you think about, first of all, control. Everything in Pilates is being stable while being able to move, particularly in and around your core, right?
Right.
So if you can be stable in your core, stable in your pelvis, everything else works. A lot of back injuries happen from age 30 to 50. Why do you think that is? Our core's main responsibility is to protect the back. People just aren't strong. They might have abdominal muscles. They might look good when they look in the mirror. They may actually see abdominals because they're lean enough. But it does not mean that their core strength and core stability are actually there. So that's what I love, love, love. And actually, Pilates is a workout. Joseph Pilates created Pilates as a workout, right?
Yes.
So that is the whole purpose of Pilates. Besides, you get what I love to say, you strengthen and lengthen at the same time.
Oh, I like that. That I haven't heard.
So
So
I like to strengthen and lengthen, right?
I like that. So whenever you are starting with someone, say I come to you, I'm going to use me as an example. I've not worked out. I've not really done a whole lot. I've just been walking. I almost, walk 5 miles a day. Where would you begin with someone like me? Just getting started. Where would you start?
Well, first I would ask you why. Why do you want to start? Because if you don't have a why, you're not going to follow through.
I love that.
You're really aren't.
You're right.
You're really not. So if you came to me and said, I don't know what to do or how to start, I'd say, well, first of all, why do you want to start? And make sure that you knew why, right? And the why could be as easy as, well, my pants don't fit anymore. Great. That's a great why. But what happens when your pants fit again? Is then what's your why going to be, right?
Yeah,
so it's not just looking at right this moment, what's going to happen. And so goal setting, I think, is important with anyone you're dealing with, whether it's in nutrition, fitness, health, money management, any of it. You want to know what the goals are. And the goals have to be, what is your goal today? So that's a super onset goal, right? Then you want to talk about your short-term goal up to a year. And then you want to think, okay, in the ideal world, it's super hard for a human, almost nearly impossible to think past a year, to actually visually think, oh gosh, past a year, maybe up to 18 months that they can think. Beyond that, it's really hard for us. It's more of a dream, right? More of an imagination sort of thing. So I like to tell people, okay, so you have this really acute short-term right now goal. You have this up to a year, 3 to 6 to 12 month goal. And then beyond that, what does your ideal world look like? How are you doing your fitness? What does your nutrition look like? How are you living? Because if they can't actually see that far, they're not going to make it that far. So that's how I start. And then it is as simple as just move. I want you to start by moving. What do you like to do? What do you see yourself doing 3 times a week? Because if they're doing nothing, 3 times a week is a big commitment. So what do you see yourself doing 3 times a week? What can you do? oh, I can walk. I can walk, I have a treadmill, or I can walk around the neighborhood or whatever it is. Okay. If you walk around the neighborhood, what if it's raining? Are you going to walk around the neighborhood, or what are you going to do instead? So again, always a plan of action. And then my second thing, or my next biggest thing, is to schedule it into your calendar. Every single person uses their phone, or I know some of my friends actually still use a paper calendar. And I use both, actually, because I like to double check myself.
Absolutely.
I'm so busy that I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
I cross check.
I might have wrote one down, but I didn't put it in the phone. So that might be me.
Correct. So it's a double check. And I ask people to put it in their calendar as an appointment and to make it realistic. So if you have a lunch hour and that's when you're going to do your workout, you have to know, are you changing clothes? Are you walking from your work? Are you going somewhere else? So you need to calculate the time, the total time, and how, if you only get an hour for lunch, what can you realistically get in as far as exercise? And is that enough? In the start, maybe it is, but always a plan.
I love it. No, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. So, when you're planning to get healthy, and you come to, an individual, please have some type of focus in place where you would like to be. It's very important.
Yes.
So I want to make sure our viewers really understand that, because it's what I expect when someone comes to me and says, I want to get healthy. Can you help me?
Right.
We have a long chat that we need to have. So, and the next process, when someone comes to you, and they're looking for, because I know you do some nutritional things as well. You're very good with offering. I kind of want to go back to a comment that you made just a few moments ago when we first began. You said something about the body industry, the body world industry, the
bodybuilding industry. Yeah.
You didn't quite like that nutritional setting. What made that setting not be where you wanted to be, but here today where you're at? Kind of differentiate.
So for me, it was because it was so restrictive. In order for my body to get lean, and anybody really, the closer you got to show, the leaner you needed to get, the more they pulled your food away, right? And I did work with a coach who was very knowledgeable and wonderful, but at the bottom line is it's still restrictive. Coming, I had to measure every single piece of food, right? Like, I was eating out of baggies at my daughter's dance competition. It was very strict, very regimented, and very restrictive in my head.
In regards to that, how was your mindset when that happened?
Yeah, so at the time I was focused on my goal, right? I had a plan, I had a goal, but it doesn't mean it wasn't terrible. It was terrible for me because and that was in hindsight, right? Sure. Terrible in hindsight. When you're in it, you almost don't realize it, because you become this kind of, and some people do so well in that industry and it fits their personality perfectly. So I'm not bashing the industry. The industry works for some people. It did not work for me. And long-term, like to this day, I do not count my macros. I refuse to count my macros. I will not. I will tell you, however, I do track my protein, because in my head, I now can eyeball what 4 ounces of protein looks like without even putting it on the scale. I know what a half a cup of green beans looks like without even putting it on the scale. That's how ingrained it was in my head. I did this for 3.5 years, but in my head, what's most important to me now is protein, and lean muscle mass. So that's like really the thing I quote unquote track. If I'm tracking anything, it's my protein, because we all know as we age, not just women, anyone loses muscle mass just naturally.
Right.
Naturally. As you age, you tend to not do the things you did before. You and I are probably exceptions to the rule. We continue with our fitness and all these things, but as a general population rule, people tend to slow down. So therefore, they're just not doing the things that they used to do. Also in our society, we now Instacart, we now this, we're not carrying groceries, we're not doing this, like all the things that are so convenient these days, that we used to do. I grew up on 5 acres. We had manual labor to do. We had to chop wood, chop rocks, or haul rocks, cut grass, like all the things, right?
The
Kids
sticks up
aren't
out of
doing
the
that,
field.
right?
I had
Yeah,
to pick up
no
sticks out of
one's
the field.
doing that.
Not
So
anymore.
I like to say, you know, everyone thinks, oh, you know, let me get my Botox, let me get my filler, let me get my things, because the wrinkles are what tells you, the lack of wrinkles is what tells you how well I'm aging. No. The reality is lean muscle mass is the best indicator of aging, in my opinion. The more lean muscle mass you have equals the better you are aging, equals longevity. Yes.
I love it.
Because
I agree.
if you're doing what it takes to have lean muscle mass, you're strength training, you're eating your protein, number one, and you're probably eating pretty well, right? I love the 80-20 rule, but you're eating pretty well, and your strength training, which is protecting you if you do fall, is protecting you osteoporosis, all the things, you know. So I definitely
I
think,
want you to elaborate just a little bit on the 80-20 rule, because I've explained it to but there are a lot of people, which I didn't realize, they don't know what the 80-20 rule is. They have never heard that before. So I'll let you explain that just a little bit to everybody.
sure. And I'm not great at math. Let me just preface
Okay.
the story with this. So how I like to live my 80-20 rule is 5 days a week, I am living lean and clean, right? Lean and clean. 2 days a week, I am doing whatever I want.
There you go.
Right. So whether those mathematicians are out there going to be like, that's not 80-20, but that's my 80-20, right?
Right.
During the week. Now, I always have an exception. Sometimes during the week, I go out because there's an event or there's a thing or whatever. That means I have to then on my weekend give up something, right? Give up an evening that I had planned or whatnot. And let me tell you, there are weeks where I have 3 days where I go out. And on vacation, the 80-20 rule goes out the window.
There you go. I was going to ask that.
For me.
Good job.
Now, on vacation, I do still work out, because working out for me is probably more mental health as much as it is physical health. But yes, that's what the 80-20 means for me. And I am a lover of sweets. I'm a gummy bear connoisseur and a champagne connoisseur. So, I mean, at any given moment, you will find gummy bears in my freezer and in my pantry. Gummy bears are my thing, right? I just love them. And the Haribo brand is the one I love. I put them in the freezer because there are, I think it's 5 colors. It's like red, green, white, yellow. The 4 colors? No, I feel like there's 5
No,
gummy
there's
bear
5
colors.
in there,
I'm
I
missing
think.
one. Maybe
Yeah.
it's orange.
Yellow.
Orange.
It's yellow. It's either yellow.
Okay, so
yeah.
I take 5 gummy bears. That's what I get, right? And I freeze them because they last longer.
Oh.
Right? I can put one in my mouth, and it's like takes a while for me to get through it.
I get
That's
it.
just my little trick, right? And so back to kind of linking it back to the bodybuilding, I don't deprive myself of anything. If there's something I want, I have it. I just adjust accordingly. So, you know, if I want to have, I don't know, a donut for breakfast, I can't tell you the last time I had a donut, but if I wanted to have a donut for breakfast, I would adjust the rest of my day to be super on point, right? And that's kind of how I live my life, you know.
So you're not restricting anything out of your diet. You're not protein shakes, salads for lunch, you know.
No,
oh, I've got to maybe have another
that would drive me crazy.
Okay.
Crazy.
Great.
I do drink protein shakes. I'm not gonna lie, I love protein shakes. And what I put in my protein shakes, I love Breeze Protein, BRIE''S. She's a local gal at St. Louis. She was born with 1 kidney. She created her own protein because she couldn't trust the proteins on the market to not have the things in it that she can't have. So she has a whey protein, a collagen protein. She also has 2 vegan proteins. So the whey and the collagen are unflavored. Most of the time I'm putting the collagen in my coffee. Or if I know I'm going to have a protein shake on the go, if I'm on the run, I will put the whey and the collagen in a protein shake and go. And I usually just mix mine with almond milk And then I'm a sucker for peanut butter filled pretzels. I will literally count out 12 pretzels because that's the serving size. It's a handful of pretzels, the protein shake, and I am out the door. And that's my go-to meal. Or it might be a handful of nuts just to get a little fat in with the protein shake, basically.
Sure. Right. Awesome. I didn't realize that she was local, so that's
yeah.
great. So we'll have
she's
to see
an amazing person.
well,
also,
maybe we can put her in with our little promo. Maybe we can put her, just kind of let everybody know, and we'll put that underneath door.
Totally. And you can use Amy L, all caps, for free shipping.
Okay. All right, I'll put that in there for you as well. That sounds great. I appreciate that part. So what are certain foods that you do tend to go towards and stay towards those? I'm pretty sure you've got some common ones that are in your daily program and you probably don't deviate from those. So what are those and why? Why would those be your common foods?
I would say chicken is probably my favorite protein. And most people are like, chicken, oh, you know, and if you cook it right, it's really good. But cooking it right is a trick because you don't want it dry. But I feel like chicken is the easiest to have a variety.
I agree.
You can make chicken a gazillion different ways. You can have ground chicken, shredded chicken. You can roast it. You can air fry it. You can fry it, you can boil it, you can put it in the crock pot. I mean, there is a million different ways to make chicken and a million different sauces and preparations that go well with chicken. I love steak too, but steak is a certain sort of preparation, right? Certain things don't go well. You can't really barbecue a steak, right? You can barbecue chicken. There's just different ways you can make chicken. You can make it Italian, you can make it Mexican, you can make it barbecue. There's just a gazillion things. So chicken, always, I would say I eat chicken. I mean, so much my kids are like, we're having chicken. And I said, yes, but the chicken is blah, blah, blah tonight. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they never complain because they like it. Because if I'm going to eat it, it's going to be good.
Right.
And I love, love, love. One thing that from my bodybuilding era that I didn't kind of turn away from is green beans. I can eat green beans any way you give them to me. I can eat them fresh. I can eat them out of a can. I can eat them any way you give them to me. I love green beans. So greens will always be, some sort of greens. I like broccoli a lot too. I would say broccoli and green beans are my favorite vegetables and my go-to. I do not eat a ton of potatoes. It's just, I don't dislike them. I just don't love them. They're just not my gig.
So
right?
It's not the fact that they're starch or that they're carb nature. So it's nothing to do with that.
Not my thing. Okay. Not my thing. However, the caveat to that potato thing is I love French fries.
Well, that's interesting.
So I do love French fries. Yep. And on my 20%, you'll find me with French fries. Always. Once a weekend, you'll find me with French fries. Usually I'm splitting them with the fam or whatever. I'm not eating the whole thing that they serve you because that would be ridiculous.
So, okay, that brings the next question then. So do you portion control?
I would say I do it probably now subconsciously.
Okay.
I don't even have to think about it.
Okay.
Protein, I would say I don't portion control on protein because especially women are short on protein. I'm always scrounging to get my protein. So I will eat a full chicken breast. I don't need to worry about, does it weigh 6 ounces, 4 ounces, 3 ounces? I just eat the whole thing because at the end of the day and probably at the end of the week, I'm going to come up short somehow, some way. It's just the way women are. Like women are worse at protein than men. And it's super hard. That's why I'll supplement with protein shake on the go, because a lot of times I'm on the go and I can't get my protein in. I'm trying to get a gram per body weight. Sometimes I'm trying to build muscle, I'll do even 1.5 grams. So I'm really struggling to get my protein.
Let's talk about that for just a minute. So someone will say not like you or I, who's trying to do that gram protein, because I do understand I'm like you. Someone who's just starting out though, what would you suggest? Because protein is vitally important.
0.5 gram.
0.5 gram.
I would say 0.5 gram per pound.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Or you're literally going to be skin and bones. I mean, that's minimal. That's really minimal. I say women, unless they're super tiny women. I mean, I have a niece that probably weighs 90 pounds. Like most women, I say get 100 grams of protein. I don't even ask their weight. I don't even ask, if they are an average woman or larger, I say 100 grams of protein is your minimum, and it will be a struggle for you to get that.
It really is. It really is, but try to push for it.
As close to it as possible, right? And then they don't have to do any math, and they don't have to worry, whatever.
Right.
But if they're brand new and I don't want to overwhelm them, I would ask what's your weight, and then just tell them, like, if you're a 120-pound woman, let's get 60 grams of protein. And they're like, oh, okay. And then and then you tell them, oh, that's just 2 chicken breasts a day. And they're like, oh, I can totally do that. Great. Once they do that consistently, then you want to kind of pull them back, keep going towards the 100 gram. If they can reach that, then depending on what their actually aesthetic and, fat to muscle ratio goals are, is where you go from there.
Awesome. So any other fitness tips that you would like to offer to anyone just starting out that would begin the process? And not only that, how can we reach out to you, and how can somebody move forward in getting into your classes and so forth? Because we're going to talk about the next phase after that.
Sure. So my biggest tip would be, as I mentioned before, put it in your planner and commit to that. So just like you make your bed in the morning, right? The biggest challenge anyone has, whether you are of healthy mental health or unhealthy mental health, is getting out of bed. The first task, I made my kids start making their bed in kindergarten. It looked terrible. I didn't care, because that is their first accomplishment of the day. So make your bed, just like showing up to work, right? No one wants to go to work. I love my job, but most Americans don't want to go to work. They'd rather go on vacation, right? Show up, commit to yourself. This morning, I was like, kind of dragging a little. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm training for a 10K right now, just to see if I could do it, because it tore my hamstring, like I mentioned earlier. And I said, I only had to run 2 miles today. And I was like, do I have to run 2 miles? Yes, you got to run 2 miles. Went and ran. Within the first half mile, I was soaring. And I was like, I feel so great. And that's kind of the exercise deal, right? The more you do it, the more you feel well. And then if you can just show up and do it, just commit. That's it. And only worry about today. Don't worry about, like, I have to run 5 miles this weekend. That's daunting, right? Oh my God, I got to run 5. I'm not worrying about what I'm doing on Saturday. I'm worrying about what I'm doing Tuesday, right?
That's perfect. That's right. I mean, they should.
Yeah,
focus just on today. Yes.
Yeah, one step at a time, and just do it. If you can, when you introduce me, you said people gravitate towards me. I'm the friend that you don't want to ask if I like your outfit. If you think I'm going to not like your outfit, because I'm going to tell you I don't like your outfit. And it's not to be mean. It's just because I'm very straightforward, and I'm very open and honest, and I value honesty. It's one of my core values. And I'm very straightforward. I'm empathetic. Obviously, I wouldn't be a nurse if I wasn't, but I'm really straightforward. So if I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, and you said, you expect a lot, I do expect a lot. I expect you to do what you say you're going to do, because if you can't keep your word to you, who are you going to keep it to? Right?
Very good.
So yeah, and I'm here to help you and push you and, get you to the finish line of whatever that goal is. And then we reevaluate and keep moving, but you have to do the work. No one's going to do it for you.
You have great potential in seeing other people's, what I meant to say is, I think you have a great way of seeing people's potential within them. I think you see that right up front. And so that they have it. It's just making the commitment. And I think that's why you're able to push people a little bit harder than they probably would let somebody else push them, because they also see where you can help them get to that next step. If they'll just give you that opportunity to hear what you're saying. That's what I think.
Most of the people, when I've asked people, what is it about me that you like? And they'll say, you believed in me before I believed in me, right? Exactly. You knew I could do it before I knew I could do it. And I do. I see, and I can really, I'm a Pisces. I don't know if anybody on here is into that, but I'm so into that. I'm really into reading vibes and how you show up in your whole persona. And I can tell Oh yeah, I can push her. I can really push her. I coach my daughter's soccer and basketball teams, and I know which girls I could really get after, and the ones I kind of have to be like, I know you can do it. You've got this. You know, a little bit more of a cheerleader too, and the ones I need to be like, I expect more from you. Why aren't you giving me X, Y, and Z? Right? And they're like, oh, I want to give you the X, Y, and Z. Right?
Good.
So the ability to kind of meld to what is in front of me too is a strength that I've learned over time. Yeah, and people can find me on Instagram, of course, Amy Lescher. It's Lescher. I say the C is in there because I'm a little extra. I soon will be launching a virtual studio. It will be called the AL Method. And you can find on my Instagram, there's a link in my bio that will lead you to a phone consultation with me. It's totally free. You can find me there, set up a time. It links you to my calendar, and you can set up a time that works for you, and we can chit chat.
And then you also set up a subscription in your Instagram as well. So tell us what they get out of that subscription as well.
So right now that subscription is not up and running, but it will be within 2 weeks.
Okay.
And in there, you'll get a free week trial to my virtual studio.
Awesome.
And then, and then you'll
That's
be able
awesome.
to figure out if you like it, if if it works for you, and if it's something that you want to add to your repertoire.
Oh, I am excited for you. You have just
Thanks.
come like so abundantly, in full circle. It's just amazing to hear everything that you've accomplished and all you've done and where you're continuing to move forward. You haven't stopped. You haven't settled down. You haven't taken that long vacation. You've just said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep helping. And I'm going to make sure people understand why nutrition is important, why getting healthy is important, why staying strong is important. I mean, you can just see that whenever you go to your Instagram page and, you see your videos, you see the way you speak. So for everyone out there, Amy is amazing. And if you are looking to get healthy, get started, move forward in any direction whatsoever, highly encourage you to reach out to Amy and move forward. Just any way, shape, or form, move forward, whatever it is. So Amy, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much. This was so exciting, so thrilling. I appreciate you. You're amazing. I look forward to doing more things with you in the future. Definitely we'll be checking out your AL Method. I love that name. That's great.
Thank you.
I love that. I don't know where you came up with that, but we'll talk about that on another story. You'll have to kind of tell me how that came about. I love it. And if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. But guys, thanks so much for joining us here today with Amy. Again, if she's resonated with you at all, please reach out to her. Let her know that you would love to work with her. And Amy, thank you. I know you have to go. Have an amazing day. I appreciate you so much. So
thank you so much. I loved it.